we are in the business of selling something that is intangible, meaning you don't go into a showroom and say, that's the model of car that I want. That's what I want my show to look like. So they have to believe in us, and they have to believe that we're not only going to be good stewards of their budget, but that we're also going to execute on their vision, and that it's going to be more than they expected.
Welcome to No More Bad Events, a fun and insightful podcast for professional event organizers and for anyone at any level interested in producing nothing but the best events. Each week, we'll talk with legendary event professionals to get an inside look into what they think makes a great event. And in the process, we'll draw out insider secrets, non-traditional approaches, and compelling stories from the most captivating personalities in the business. We'll definitely get the skinny on reaching that one big goal: no more bad events. I'm your host, Scott Bloom, comedian, event MC, and now your podcast host. Let's get started. No More Bad Events is produced and presented by eSpeakers, the most trusted, easy-to-use, full-service online platform for finding, connecting with, and hiring the best keynote speakers, hosts, and presenters in the world. With the deepest catalog of professionals available through the eSpeakers marketplace, you can be assured that the speaker you book will be the absolute best speaker based on your goals, bar none. eSpeakers, the #1 way to find your next perfect speaker. For more information, go to espeakers.com. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to No More Bad Events. I'm welcoming our regular listeners. That's the welcome back, but I also want to welcome our new listeners. I know we have some new listeners because of the broad reach that both my guests have here in this event industry. They've been around for a long time, so I'm sure they asked all their colleagues, their clients, and friends to listen. I've also been a friend, a colleague, and a fan of both these two exceptional women. I've known them both for around 20 years now, more than 20 plus years, worked with both of them on different projects here in the U.S. and also internationally. In fact, speaking of internationally, I want to do a quick shout out here to our international listeners. I just found out, I went on the website, we've got downloads from a lot of people over in the UK. I want to say hello to those folks. We got downloads from people in Italy and France and Germany. We have one from the Middle East. I wanted to do a little shout out to my one listener in Doha, Qatar. I actually spent some time in Qatar. I did a comedy show on a USO tour back in the 90s. So I got to perform at a military base in Qatar. I want to say hello to the people in the Philippines and in Australia. Thank you all for joining us. So let me tell you a little bit more about our guests today. I am so excited they are on the program. They are Nicole Beukers and Jennifer Weingardner. They are co-founders of Heron Production Group, a 100% women-owned creative and production agency, and they have just taken off, producing one successful event after another. How do they do it? Well, according to these amazing ladies, it's a 3-step process. You got to have a strong sense of curiosity, you need to listen intently, and you have to care. They understand that they're in the business of selling something intangible, so exhibiting those values goes a long way to establishing trust. Building trust and cultivating long-term relationships is at the core of Heron Production Group's success. Jennifer and Nicole genuinely care about their clients, taking the time to listen, understand their objectives, and fulfill their visions. They go above and beyond, even participating in charity walks to support causes close to their clients' hearts. So get ready to fly high into the amazing world of event production with my good friends, Nicole Beukers and Jennifer Weingardner. Tell me a little bit more about the inspiration behind starting Heron Productions and what sets it apart from other event companies.
I think for both of us, we each had our own smaller individual production companies, and we were doing contract work for some of the larger companies in the industry, and we were pretty highly sought after. But then it kind of started to bubble up that we wanted to do more. We gained insights. We realized that we had a great understanding of our clients' needs, and we just wanted to kind of go direct to the source. And Nicole and I met several years ago doing some events together. And, I had always kind of been looking for who was that perfect partner, who was someone that I could trust, who was someone whose skills meshed with mine. And as our friendship and our knowledge of each other as executive producers in the industry grew, it just kind of bubbled up naturally, I would say, from our passion for our work and our respect for each other. And then just one summer day, at the end of the pandemic, we kind of said, let's just do this. Let's do this. If not now, when?
You both play different roles. You both are executive producers. How do you complement each other?
Well, I think it's an interesting question, Scott. And I say that because we have very similar skill sets. Even though I come, my education was really through business school and then coming into this business laterally. Jennifer's trajectory was different than mine, but in terms of how we work as a team, we're both executive producers with a lot of tenureship, but I think in both of our roles, we've acted closely with creative directors and done a lot of creative direction on our own. So depending on the project, we can either support each other with the creativity portion of it, or one of us can spearhead a project.
Yeah, we have similar skill sets, but we're very different. Nicole's someone who, she has this wonderful fashion sense, I have to say, and she knows how to make an event and a client just feel really special. Whereas I have a little bit more of a sort of a goofy side. I have that theatrical background. Scott, I think, I used to be an actor, and I can bring a lot of that weird funness to it. So I think we complement each other well, even though our skill sets are similar, our personalities are different. So I think that they come together to create something really special.
Well, I was just going to say, we even work on different accents. So I think.
Right. Nicole's, I think, really doing well with her accent.
Yes. I don't know. It's like, is it British or Australian? You can't really tell. New Zealand?
You can't tell.
Can't tell.
It's always good to leave a little mystery on the table, Scott.
Well, I know the accent goes a long way. Whoever has an accent in business, everyone gets immediately enamored by someone who's from another country, has an accent. It seems like there's more gravitas, more intelligence going on. So you fooled us all once again, Nicole. But when you're pitching to clients, whether it's an idea or a new client, do you both play a role in that? Is one of you more of an account manager, or you do that in partnership?
It really depends on the client, honestly, because both of us came into the company with relationships, right? So whoever has the relationship with the client takes the lead. Now, sometimes if Nicole has a project and she needs some creative, I'll come in and pitch the creative portion of it. And if I have a client, sometimes Nicole will come in and talk about the creative portion. So we sort of divide it up depending on the client that we're working with.
I like the name of the company, Heron Production Group. I got that right, yes?
Yeah.
And by the way, I'm doing this annoying habit now, and I'm going to try to stop it. I've been watching a lot of Succession lately, and they end up doing, they ask a question and then follow up with it, yes? Like it's so annoying. Give me I'll give you a second to agree with me, but it's I think that's something that's actually permeating our culture, where someone will ask a question, yes, like we really need an answer. But anyway, so you have this great quote on your website: "Creativity is the blue heron within us, waiting to fly. Through her imagination, all things become possible." Nadia Janice Brown. It seems like you both connected to some of these. I see some Native American influences, maybe some Chinese influences. What is your connection to the heron or the blue heron? Was that arbitrary, or is that something that you've always been, connected to?
Scott, it's interesting. After we decided the name of the company, it must have been subliminal for me, because I went down to my parents' house. They live in northern Florida, and everywhere I looked, there were pieces of heron art everywhere. They have stained glass window, multiple pictures, photos. They even have some little statuettes. So I think for me, just the heron is always something that I see, and it just makes me feel just really peaceful and connected and solid. So that was something I wanted to bring into our company and to our clients. And also, and I think this is on the website too, but when we were kids, we went down to the Jersey Shore, and every morning we kind of stayed off island outside of Stone Harbor, and we'd, pack all our stuff into the car and we'd go out to the beach. And there was always this blue van there that was completely airbrushed, 80s style. And it had herons on the side of it, and it said the Blue Heron. And we would always say, if that guy was there, it's going to be a good beach day. So if Heron is there, it's going to be a good day.
I think there's a lot of cafes down there in the Jersey Shore. Some of them might be called Blue Heron. And my daughter literally yesterday was telling me how she's now watching old Jersey Shore episodes. She's fascinated by Snooki.
Well, that's a great influence for her.
Yeah, no, I love the Jersey Shore. I mean, it's been a while since I've been down there. I was explaining to her about how people have shares in homes and they'd go every other weekend or every other week. So you both live in two different cities. One of you lives in New York. Jennifer, you live in New York. Nicole, you live in Chicago. What do you think are some of the key elements that makes for a successful team dynamic in the event industry, and also between the two of you, because you have a very special situation where you're working remotely?
It's interesting. I always talk about the Venn diagram of connections in our industry, where we know a certain group of people that rotate in our atmosphere, and then you meet somebody else who has the same thing. And sometimes those circles interact, and we have commonalities of people that we work with, and sometimes they don't. And what's really fantastic is when we kind of bump into each other and we realize that we have these similar experiences, but we know lots of other people that we might not have had the opportunity to work with. And I always think that it's interesting on any event that we do where we can bring in somebody that we've heard of, maybe, or not heard of, who is then, augments your new sort of atmosphere that you're working within. And so with me being in Chicago and Jennifer working in New York, she'll say, oh, so-and-so, right? Or I'll say, oh, so-and-so. And so that's been super interesting. But what I like about it, based on our company, is that it's opened us up to so many more people. And we have such a strong pool of people that we work with who are fantastic.
I think that's a great point, because, there is that Chicago crew, and then there's the New York crew, and they've interacted because we've all sort of, through freelancing, have worked together. Do you both have a group of go-to people? Creative directors, graphics people, and I guess, does it matter whether they're in Chicago or New York or some other city?
We have people who are our go-tos, but also a really deep pool of people we trust. I mean, we've both been doing this for 25 years, so we have been really lucky to meet some incredible people. So it's just a really deep pool of talent. And I'm amazed and honored by the people that I've got to meet over the years in this industry. Seriously. Especially and including you, Scott.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we always have to get a little of that in on every podcast. I appreciate that. Ching, that check.
I'm here for you.
That box is checked. It's always someone mentions something that, because we, a lot of you folks that I've interviewed are friends and colleagues. So, we've all been in the industry for decades. So how do you find new blood, new people that you trust and that you think, hey, they have a whole new look on event planning or production? Have you found those people?
Yeah, for sure. I think one of the other great things about everyone in this industry is that they're so generous. So I get texts and emails all the time from people who I trust saying, you got to meet this person. You got to get to know this person. Have you heard what this person is doing? So that is how we find new people to work with. And in fact, my massage therapist recently introduced us to someone who we're now working with. So you never know.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah, isn't that wild? Yeah. Like a young woman who just graduated with a degree in event management, and she's amazing. So the talent is out there, but we work with so many people that we love. I think that we don't often need new people, but I think it is important. And it's one of the initiatives that Nicole and I've been trying to do is to mentor young people in the industry. Because like you said, we're all getting older and we've got to bring in that fresh new blood to keep the industry exciting and new and have new ideas and technology and just, new thinking and how do we connect with younger audiences. So I think that's a really important thing that we're striving for.
And I'm sure you notice, the clients seem to be getting younger and we're getting older. That's how it seems to work. So it's always good to have those younger people just to give us, a different perspective. What are three of the most important qualities you think you need to have in corporate events production?
I think you have to have a strong sense of curiosity, in the same way that you really listen to people and try to get to know them in order to create your material. We do the same thing. We do our research on who our client is. We care about what their objectives are. We care about what their outcomes are. So curiosity, I'd say firstly, listening. Number two, we need to hear what they have to say. They're experts in their industry. They know what they want, but they don't necessarily know how to execute or even know what the possibilities are. So it's our job to listen to what their vision is and then fulfill that vision with our knowledge and our expertise in the business. And then caring. We really care about our clients and their challenges and their triumphs. And it's interesting because Jennifer last weekend actually went out and did a charity walk because of an initiative that was through learning about a disease state from a client. So we really care about our clients and what they're interested in.
Yeah, I think I saw that, Jennifer, on LinkedIn, right?
Yeah.
You posted that?
Yeah, I did. It was fun. It was a great day. We were out there for Crohn's and colitis.
I think I've worked with a few pharma companies that have dealt with Crohn's. So, relationships are very important in the industry. And I'm sure something like doing a walk, I'm not sure exactly what that was, but with your client, that shows that you do care, that it's beyond, the business. So what are some of the other things you do to build trust and, cultivate these long-term relationships? Because that's what we want. We want, trusted relationships. They're coming to us every time as opposed to them bidding out. What do you think about?
I just think about, it's funny, it's the same way I think about an audience is like, I think about what do they need? Most of these people have jobs. For the most part, their job is not producing the event. Their job is patient advocacy or marketing or sales or, in the case of our retail clients, running all of the stores. So they also now have to do this event. So how can we make that easier for them by bringing our vision, by bringing our organizational skills, by bringing our partnership to them? And I also, by making them laugh. I've often had clients say to me, this is the most fun call of the day. And then I also think, just simple integrity and honesty. Am I allowed to curse?
No, but go ahead.
Okay. We don't feed them a line of boop. We tell them the truth. We tell them what's happening and what's going on. And then at the end of the day, we are just there to make sure that they look good. And I will also say that a lot of people that Nicole and I have worked with over the years have gotten promotions. So,
oh, wow.
We're kind of the secret sauce for that.
Well, I just wanted to add on to that and say that we are in the business of selling something that is intangible, meaning you don't go into a showroom and say, that's the model of car that I want. That's what I want my show to look like. So they have to believe in us and they have to believe that we're not only going to be good stewards of their budget, but that we're also going to execute on their vision and that it's going to be more than they expected. And a lot of that really has to do with our previous experience over the last 25 years, references from other clients. And as Jennifer said, we have a lot of clients that come to us that we've done programs with before or have been referred by people in the same way.
What do you think the biggest changes in events are right now? As producers, what are you looking at differently? And what are you thinking about that maybe you might not have thought about that we need this element in this particular meeting or event?
I think events are becoming more human focused, more
authentic.
Thoughtful. More thoughtful about taking care of the attendees. No more 10-hour general sessions. There's more thought to when do people get a break? can we give them a session on mindfulness? What can we do to make this a more caring and motivational experience for them, as opposed to, get out there and learn and get her done. It's just a general kindness or humanity. I don't know, that I feel, at least I see with my clients, and it's, something that Nicole and I really try to bring to our relationships with our vendors and our contractors and our freelancers.
And Nicole, you mentioned authentic. Tell me more about that.
So, well, first of all, I would say that I think the approach towards events is more that it's an experience. So we want to look at the arc from even pre-show through post-event, but that it's an experience that we are putting the attendee through so that everything kind of hangs together. I'd say, 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, you could throw, we're just going to throw this element in here. We'll throw another element in here. We'll throw another element in there. And it felt disjointed. But now, from the very beginning, from the theme and the ideation and the creative content, we're looking at a whole arc that follows through. But then, to Jennifer's point, we're looking at gratitude towards the people that are coming to those meetings. They're taking time away from their families. They're taking time away from their job that they're still expected to do while they come on site. And how do we make them feel appreciated? So whether that's the touch points that we have before the meeting, the touch points that we have on site, the thoughtful breaks that we incorporate into the meeting, how do we make them feel that they're respected too?
I really love that concept of gratitude. It gives you a whole different mindset going into it. Now, is that something you openly verbalize to your clients? And how do they respond to that?
We do. We always think about the work that it took for those people to be where they are and try to remind our client. And when it comes to planning an agenda, they'll start out with a straw man and they'll have, like 10-minute breaks. And that's not enough time for people to rotate and find their next location or return a quick phone call. So we're constantly looking at the whole program, from the top down.
And, speaking of events and everything from the top down, where does the balance between entertainment and business meet? Is that something that you always want to have an element? I mean, you have to keep the audience engaged. Is that something that's always, we say we need to keep a layer of something there to make it entertaining for them, or sometimes just a business meeting?
More Scott all of the time.
I was kind of leading to that. I think
more Scott all of the time.
More Scott all the time.
We need Scott here, and we need Scott there, and we need Scott here.
Yeah, that helps.
But seriously,
but seriously, folks. But I'm curious, because when I am there, that's one element that I'm able to provide, is to keep that engagement. What are you folks looking at in terms of keeping them engaged, keeping them excited?
Well, for me, I think entertainment is really important because it keeps them engaged and then opens them up to the content. So I always visualize what the audience members are experiencing from the moment they walk in, and how we can keep the ebb and flow going and make sure that it's not just presentation after presentation after presentation. Because the presentations have content that's so important, if it's not broken up with something that kind of gives a little jolt to the brain, then the presentations aren't received as clearly, I think. Sort of a little palate cleanser.
How do you measure the success of a conference, and what ways do you gather feedback from attendees and clients? And how do you take that information and process it for, let's say, the next conference with that group?
I think you have a sense of the success of an event. In your bones, right? When you go through those few days or the week or whatever it is, we have really put something together here that told a story from beginning to end. We kept everyone engaged, and you can feel it from the audience. Then, of course, we also hear it from our clients. And then I believe, generally there's some sort of a survey after the event, and then we get to hear the actual feedback from the actual attendees. So there'll be a 1 to 5 scale, and then they'll have the opportunity to put in comments so we can take a look at those. And then we have a postmortem with our clients to talk about what went well, what didn't go well. And then we wrap that into the next time we're doing an event with them.
I think it's really tough for clients, that you're working with too, because they're always thinking about the people above them and how they feel. Mm-hmm. How do you deal with just, the fear that some of these clients have as you're either presenting things, or can you tell when you're getting a response back from them after a meeting, whether it's fear-based or if it's how they really feel? I mean, what is the comfort level with some of these planners or, event people?
Oh my gosh. I was just on a call with Nicole, and I was just listening because it's one of her clients, but I'm coming on site to support. So I wanted to kind of get some things in my ear. And she just, simply said to them, "We've got you. Don't worry, we've got you." And I think that our direct clients know that they have our support and our back, then they don't need to be afraid.
Right.
And I hope that that's what we give them. I certainly know Nicole does.
I also think, Scott, so two things. One is we're more critical of the work that we do than our client is. And so after this many years of being in the industry, we know if we hit it out of the ballpark or not. And my bar is always higher than the client's. But we're in this for the long term, meaning we want to keep our clients. Once we get them, they're our family. We care about them. We want to improve on it. We want to make sure that their vision is completely fulfilled. And in terms of their senior leadership, I think a lot of our clients count on us to do that heavy lift towards leadership, because it's easier for us to present to them than for them to present it, right? And so we really end up having a very strong bond with those people that are, running the meeting and have to satisfy a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's important to have that relationship with the executive team and the leadership team. I think that gets everyone on board. And this idea of feeling like we're, sort of a family where there's trust, a lot of great things can happen. As I said, if there's some fear there's ideas that never even get explored because they're like, oh, so-and-so is going to be afraid of that, and we don't want to do that. And that's when magic, happens, when everyone's sort of working together. So what advice would you give to an aspiring event producer or producers who are looking to start their own company? What advice would you give those folks?
Oh, start their own company.
Yes, like you brave ladies, because that's a brave thing to do.
I mean, I think it's some of the same advice that I would give to anyone in events, even if they didn't want to start their own company. But I think one of the key things that has been helpful to me is that I've done everything. Like I said, I started as a PA. I've done graphics, I've teleprompted, I've directed, I've acted, I've creative directed, I've stage managed, never worked myself up to run a light board or a soundboard or video, but just tried to learn and be curious, as Nicole said before, curious about everything, not only related to our clients, but also related to the people that we're working with, because these are experts. And again, they love to share information, just such generous people. So ask questions, learn about every aspect of the business so that you can understand who you're working with, what their role is, and how it all comes together. And especially important if you're going to start your own company, that you build these trusted relationships with talented people in all aspects of the business and understand how things work, really.
And Nicole?
I would add on to that. I mean, I think Jennifer really summarized it well. Make yourself be invaluable, really do everything, really understand the business. But I think in order to start your own company, you have to be interested in people. And I don't mean just your own teams. You have to be interested in the client, who they are, what motivates them, what is their business, what are their goals and aspirations, and really put yourself in their shoes. And unless you can do that, I don't think you're going to be successful.
Yeah, I think we started the interview with the conversation talking about curiosity. That's an important aspect. Mm-hmm. And it really is getting to know your clients, getting to know their needs, know what's important to them, what you can do to build upon whatever their vision is. So I think that's very important. So Nicole, Jennifer, so great to talk to you. And we need to do this more often. Maybe we work together. This is where I pitch myself to my guests. I think we should work together more often. No, but seriously, I always enjoyed working with both of you. Nicole, I have some fond memories of when I was just starting. It was for Zomig.
That's correct.
We did that.
Zeneca drug.
20
Migraine.
4 years ago. And when I specifically remember you saying, Scott, you're not charging enough, not charging enough. So,
and then I regretted it on the next show when you doubled your fees.
I don't know if I doubled it, but I did add it. And Jennifer, I have fond memories of us working together. I think one of the last things we did, maybe it was an American Express show. Does that sound familiar? Or maybe I ran into
American Express. I think our last one, though, was for Pernod Ricard Liquors, and we were in Dublin.
Oh, in Dublin,
so that
yes.
was a fun time.
That was like 2016, something like that. Anyway, thank you both for being on the program, and hopefully we'll stay in touch.
Yes, sir. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much, Scott. I'll be saying more Scott, more Scott, more Scott from now on.
I like it. That's how we're going to end this podcast. Thanks very much, both of you. That's it for now. I've been your host, Scott Bloom, corporate event MC and comedic keynote speaker. And of course, your connoisseur of connections. Oh, by the way, if you're interested, you can book me for your next event on eSpeakers Marketplace at espeakers.com/marketplace. And if you like what you heard, subscribe on Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows. If you loved what you heard, drop us a review and don't forget to share with your friends. No More Bad Events is produced and presented by eSpeakers. Thanks so much for listening. Now go out and make your event a great one.